Okay, good morning everyone. We're going to deal with this important announcement first, and then we'll move on to other matters secondly. But today is a very significant step in Queensland's hydrogen revolution and our quest to be a hydrogen superpower. And the potential of the signing today means jobs for regional Queensland and the potential of billions of dollars investment into our state. As I said, this all leads up to next Wednesday, when I will be delivering the State of the State report, where we will be making very significant announcements in relation to energy, hydrogen and climate change. And today is another great step forward. Today, Ark Energy brings together three of the largest conglomerate groups in Korea here today: parent company Korea Zinc, SK Gas and Hanwha Impact. All are well-established players in Korea's transition to hydrogen. And there is enormous opportunity, enormous goodwill between South Korea and Queensland. Queensland has the resources, and we stand ready to help with further development of a brand new green energy export corridor in North Queensland. The supply chain is expected to deliver more than 1 million tonnes of green ammonia a year, and at the heart of the consortium's plans will be developing ARC's Collinsville Green Energy Hub southwest of Bowen. So when we're talking about the transformation, it's happening in regional Queensland with the potential to generate 3,000 megawatts, which is absolutely huge. So I'll hand over to Minister de Brenni, the world's first hydrogen minister, and then Daniel will speak on behalf of our consortium. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Premier. The global energy transformation and our international partnerships powering it is simply the greatest opportunity Queensland has seen in generations. We are a proud resources state with tens of thousands of highly skilled professionals working hard every day to meet the demands of our export partners. Under our Premier's leadership, we are setting Queensland up to be the world's renewable energy and green hydrogen superpower. Up in North Queensland, that jobs and economic potential is being supercharged by this landmark agreement signed today. We have been busy building our green hydrogen credentials globally, and that track record goes on today. So on today's momentous occasion for Queensland and our trading partners, I'd like to convey that this is a critical step for both of us in realising the full potential of green hydrogen both here in Queensland and internationally. And it is pleasing to see Queensland's first trade MOU with Korea for green hydrogen signed today. I'd like to congratulate all of the Handho H2 consortium partners, and of course, Premier, thank you for your leadership.
Daniel?
Thank you, Premier, and thank you, Minister de Brenni. I would also just like to acknowledge my consortium partners in the room who've travelled here from Korea today, and of course also acknowledging the traditional owners of the land on which we meet, and pay my respects to their elders past, present and emerging. My name is Daniel Kim. I'm the CEO of Ark Energy. It's wonderful to be here on this, what I'm sure will prove to be a very historic day for Queensland and Korea. For more than 50 years, the bilateral trade relationship between Australia and Korea has been underpinned by resources and fossil fuels. Queensland's trade relationship with Korea has boomed in recent years. Queensland exports to Korea were the highest of any Australian state or territory, worth more than $18.5 billion to the financial year ending July 2022. Of that figure, $14.2 billion related to coal and LNG. With Korea's commitment to achieve net zero emissions by 2050, the value of those exports and all the jobs that underpin that are clearly now at risk. This is why today's announcement is so important. We are delighted to announce the formation of the Hun-Ho Hydrogen Consortium, which includes three of Korea's largest conglomerate groups in Korea Zinc, SK Gas and Hanwha Impact, together with Queensland-based Arc Energy. The shared vision of this consortium is to transform the bilateral relationship between Australia and Korea from one that has been underpinned by resources and fossil fuels to renewable energy and green hydrogen. In signing this MOU today, we have agreed to collaborate in developing a supply chain to export more than 1 million tonnes of green ammonia from North Queensland to Korea by 2032. Korea is actually already the third largest importer of ammonia, and based on ammonia's characteristics to act as a hydrogen carrier, combined with Korean government's recent commitments to co-fire green ammonia as a carbon-free fuel in the country's coal and gas-fired power generation fleet, the Korea Institute of Energy Research estimates Korea's total demand for ammonia will exceed 21 million tonnes by 2030. ARC is proud to lead this consortium. We will leverage our experience developing the North Queensland domestic hydrogen economy through our SunHQ Hydrogen Hub. We are also looking forward to leveraging our Collinsville Green Energy Hub announced by the Premier earlier today, a hub which has the potential generation capacity of more than 3,000 megawatts. Together with our parent company, Korea Zinc, we carefully selected Hanwha Impact and SK Gas as potential partners, and we are delighted that they have joined our consortium. Our partners and our parent company are major players in Korea's rapidly developing hydrogen economy, and they have a forecast demand for more than 2 million tonnes of green ammonia by 2030. The Hun-Ho Hydrogen Consortium will accelerate the energy transition of not just our groups, but of our customers and of the economies on both sides. Hanwha Impact is a major petrochemicals player in Korea, and its core mission is to accelerate the Hanwha Group's transition to carbon neutrality by prioritising investments in hydrogen-focused low-carbon technologies. Last year, they acquired 2 hydrogen combustion technology companies in PSM and Thomason Energy. The Hun-Ho consortium will accelerate that group's, the Hanwha Impact's transition to an eco-friendly energy and carbon-neutral company. SK Gas, our other partner, is the #1 LPG player in Korea and is also a leader in LPG global trading. Recently, SK Gas expanded its portfolio into LNG and is building an LNG terminal, an LNG LPG dual fuel power plant, and also an LNG marketing business. This MOU aligns with SK Gas's ambition to become a global top-tier net zero solution provider for its customers by providing a low-carbon solution of LNG and LPG, and also a zero-carbon solution of green ammonia and green hydrogen. SK's participation in this consortium will be as one of the off-takers, and they will also contribute to a number of work streams, including export terminal infrastructure, the shipping solution, and also the import terminal infrastructure on the Korean side. Our Korean parent company in Korea Zinc is the largest zinc producer in the world and was the first major refiner to join RE100. This MOU aligns with their ambition and their commitment to power its global operations from a 100% renewable energy by 2050. Strategic partnerships will be essential to building this new green ammonia supply chain between Australia and Korea, the scale of which does not currently exist. The infinite potential of this Hun-Ho Hydrogen Consortium, underpinned by our existing assets and our deep capability, can't be overstated. We have a shared commitment to build this new green growth corridor between Australia and Korea. We want to accelerate our customers' energy transitions, and we want to continue to deliver prosperity in the regional communities in which we operate. I want to express my sincere thanks to you, Premier, and to you, Minister de Brenni, for hosting us today and witnessing the signing of this MOU. I'd also like to thank our consortium partners also for travelling to Australia to officially launch our Hunho Hydrogen Consortium. Arguably, now the fun really begins. Hi team! Thank you.
Any questions for Daniel? No?
Why Queensland?
Yes. So Queensland has been home to the Korea Zinc Group for more than 2 decades through our Sun Metal Zinc refinery in Townsville. And we're very proud to be actually the largest private sector employer up there. The establishment of Arc Energy earlier last year was with a mandate to decarbonise the group, starting with our sister companies in Townsville, with a view to helping them be one of the first in the world to produce green zinc. So this is our home. We have a deep footprint here. We've got existing assets here. And so we'll be looking to leverage those assets as part of this Hunho consortium. In delivering these kind of low cost, the lowest levelised cost of ammonia, the reality is, in terms of ammonia economics, is that the cost of energy makes up more than 51% of that cost of ammonia. And so as a group, we realised the need to deliver, the only way to deliver that lowest levelised cost of energy was to invest significantly upstream and build that renewable energy portfolio, which is why earlier in the year we acquired a business called Epuron, which gave us an early stage renewable pipeline of 9 gigawatts on the east coast of Australia, including what is now the Collinsville Green Energy Hub.
What's the timeline for something like this to see the corridor up and running, and is it one of the first in the world, or what is it on a global scale?
So the scale of what we're embarking on doesn't exist today, and so there is certainly a level of ambition. There are many challenges ahead, including very prohibitive cost curves of all things hydrogen, but other challenges which other proponents face is developing this viable supply chain. And I think with our consortium partners, and given their existing assets and their capability across that whole value chain, from Australia all the way through to Korea, I think puts us in a great position to accelerate this undertaking. I think working backwards from 2032, first exports, we're looking at probably a construction phase of maybe 4 years, and probably another 2 years prior to that in terms of targeting FID around 2027, 2028, arguably. So it's a very large undertaking. Even just the renewable energy component of it, as I said, is 3,000 megawatts, which is would be one of the largest renewable precincts in Australia.
What is the footprint of that renewable energy hub?
So we've signed up 12 landholders in and around Collinsville. And the total area of the Collinsville Green Energy Hub is approximately 190,000 hectares. So it's actually larger than Fraser Island, and for my Korean friends, it's actually larger than Jeju Island. So it's very significant. The scale of this is unprecedented, but it's absolutely fundamental to underpin the industrial scale production of green hydrogen as a feedstock for green ammonia exports.
In terms of jobs and a timeline of jobs, do you have an estimate yet?
So I think that's what is most exciting about what we're undertaking here, is the scale of not just the renewable energy precinct, but all the critical pieces of infrastructure across the value chain. This is the opportunity for Queensland in terms of this transformation and developing these new high-quality jobs in the new green economy. The renewable energy precinct alone, with its 3 gigawatts, will generate more than 750 jobs through the construction and the operations phase. That's just the renewable energy, excluding the hydrogen production, ammonia production, export infrastructure, and so on. So it's very meaningful, and we are very keen to see the transformation in that region, in and around Collinsville, and ensuring the ongoing prosperity of that part of Queensland.
Premier, do you see most of the jobs
Thank you. Being in regional Queensland, and which ports will be best suited to extend
Yeah,
their
so,
services?
I mean, we're talking about 700 regional jobs, so this is fantastic news. And what you'll be seeing over the coming decade is large renewable precincts developing in regional Queensland. That is an undisputable fact. We had a discussion earlier about the potential for either Abbott Port or the Townsville Port, so they'll be doing due diligence around that.
What does the government bring to this partnership? Is it money? Is it clearing the way for some of those hurdles? Or what do you bring to it?
We bring certainty. We bring our great opportunities for investment in Queensland. I think being a long-term resource exporter and those great trade relations that we have built up over the years means that we are a good investment, we are a secure investment, and we are a safe investment. Okay? Might just say goodbye and I'll come back. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Daniel. Thank you. All right, thank you. Thanks. Okay. Thanks, everyone. All right, happy to take some questions.
Who's taking responsibility for the DNA testing?
Okay, so in relation to the revelations that were found by the interim report by Sofronov, some immediate steps have been taken. So you would have noticed yesterday, Cabinet considered that. I said it was a very disturbing and very concerning report. Let me say, Cabinet absolutely agreed. And we immediately agreed that quick action needed to be taken. Walter Sofronov himself said action needs to be taken immediately. Frank Gannon has been appointed. A hotline has been set up so any victims of crime can immediately ring and seek assistance. I also am aware today that 2 senior staff members in the forensic unit have been immediately stood down. So as you can see, swift action is being taken. Now let me also say that Walter Sofronov has a very big job here. Those interim findings are being acted on, but the Commission of Inquiry itself starts on Monday. Now let me say this. Queenslanders want answers, and I want answers. This is perhaps one of the most concerning reports that our state has seen, and we need to get to the bottom of it. And I'm not going to preempt any of his findings. As you can appreciate, there will be witnesses that will be coming forward. They need to be given the opportunity to give that evidence to him. He needs the opportunity to be able to listen to all that evidence and make his findings. This is a very big job, and can I say, I am absolutely pleased that we have someone of Walter Sofronov's experience and calibre that will be leading this very important inquiry for our state.
What was the position of those?
Sofronov was
what
very deliberate in his decision not to assign blame in the interim report. Why has the decision been made then to stand 2 of these staff members down?
These staff members have been stood down pending the outcome of the inquiry.
But why have they been stood down?
Well, the Director General has made that decision. They are being stood down pending the outcome, and that is the decision that has been made.
What was the position of those 2?
Interfering in Mr. Sofronov's
Yes.
inquiry.
Yep.
He was very deliberate in not wanting to assign blame to any individuals. Why has the department decided to take this action?
You have to ask the Director General, but he has taken very swift action.
What was the position of those 2 senior staff members, and was it the
I
Director
don't
General?
have those positions. That's for the Director General.
And the Director General stood them down?
Yes,
Upheld?
correct.
Was this overnight? When did this happen?
Sorry?
Was this overnight? Were they stood down overnight?
They were stood down this morning. Okay.
Can the Director General come to us and answer some questions?
You can put questions to him.
Premier, were ministers involved in the discussions and the approval process to change the threshold?
No. My understanding is no. I have been given no advice or no evidence that any ministerial involvement was involved in this. But however, I will say this, that Walter Sofronov's inquiry starts on Monday.
Are you concerned that advice from government departments to your ministers has been misleading, and will you be asking for that to be further investigated?
Let's get the results of the inquiry. As everyone can appreciate, this is a huge job. This is a big job. Walter Sofronov did not make these interim findings lightly. In fact, they were very deliberate findings. They were handed to government, and government has acted very swiftly.
Premier, the opposition who have been stood down, are they working in the lab or in more management roles?
I don't have the details of the two people who are being stood down. All I know is that the Director-General has stood 2 people down in the forensic unit pending the outcome of the inquiry.
Premier, the opposition says the government owes Queenslanders an apology, that you could have called for a commission of inquiry earlier. The opposition was raising it in Parliament last year, and then there was obviously the podcast as well. Did you ignore the early warning signs?
No, we did not. And let me say that, I made the decision to engage Walter Sofronov to conduct this inquiry, and he will get to the bottom of this. He did an amazing body of work when it came to the Commission of Inquiry into the flooding of Grantham, as you may recall. He's also held the second highest position, Court of Appeal in our state, and he's the right person to do this. And his interim findings are very clear, and action has been taken. And as he said in part of his report, he said, I see no reason to delay acting, and so that is exactly what's happening.
Premier, it was also
Wright raised concerns about the lab last year. Dr. Wright isn't just an average scientist, she's internationally recognised. She was head of Australia's DNA database. After she raised these concerns, government didn't take action. It took another 7 months before a public inquiry was ordered. That was because of a lot of advocacy of victims, their families and lawyers. Why did the government not listen to Dr. Wright last year when she raised these concerns about the lab?
I think you've made some very good points, Lydia, that it wasn't just her raising these issues, it was victims, it was a whole range of people that actually raised these concerns, which then brought it to the attention of government to put in place this commission of inquiry.
So when Dr. Wright was raising these concerns, were there people in the department hosing down the seriousness of the issues that she'd identified in the lab?
You'd have to put that to the department.
What about the advice that you were getting from you?
Sorry?
What about the advice that you were getting?
We have taken, we had looked at everything that was on the table, and we made the decision to go and put in place this commission of inquiry. We would not be getting to the bottom of this if we did not put in place the commission of inquiry.
What was the advice that you were getting late last year when these concerns were first raised?
As I said, Lydia, there has been a whole range of issues that have been raised, and the culmination of those issues has resulted in the commission of inquiry.
What was the advice that you were getting? Was that there were no problems?
I'm not going into this until Walter Sofronov hands down his report. We want to get to the bottom of this. We want to know who was responsible. We want justice for victims. That is paramount here, absolute paramount justice. And he starts the inquiry on Monday, and we don't do anything to jeopardise his inquiry. He has to be free to be able to call whoever he wants and to get to the bottom of this. And speculation is not going to help the facts.
It was pointed out in the report that there were advantages to abandoning such testing, the ability to potentially reallocate staff time. So if this was a time-saving measure and an issue of resourcing, where does the blame ultimately lie?
Well, he'll get to the bottom of that. With all due respect, he'll get to the bottom of that. The inquiry, the official inquiry, starts on Monday. I mean, please, let the Commissioner do his job.
Did you ask for details about those 2 staff members that got stood down? And if not, why not?
Well, that is a matter for the Director-General. If the Director-General has concerns about the way in which the lab has been working, He has the absolute right to take action, and I support that decision.
Do you not want to know those details, though, about the staff members, why they've been stood down?
Well, I support the decision of the Director-General.
When these concerns were being raised, members of the government said it was just the opposition playing politics. Do you regret those comments?
As I said very clearly, I'm not going to preempt the findings of Walter
I'm
Sofronoff.
not asking about the findings. I'm
Well-
asking about comments that was.
Well, I'm not going to go back over old history. What I'm saying is we now have an active commission of inquiry. We need to get to the bottom of it.
The health minister wasn't playing politics, though.
I'm not going around in circles. I've said very clearly, there is a commission of inquiry afoot here, and you need to allow the commissioner to do his work.
The Health Minister said yesterday hindsight's a wonderful thing, but do you accept that there may have been damage caused by delays in calling for a commission of inquiry? Does that worry you that you could have acted sooner?
Well, we may not have had Walter Sofronoff then.
What do you mean? Because
Well, we may not have had someone of his calibre doing this report and getting to the bottom of it.
But aren't you worried about delays in calling, what the damage that may have been caused by delays in calling for the commission inquiry?
And all
Does
those
that worry
untrue
you?
statements that were continuing to go to court. In the
Action
meantime.
is being taken now, and as I've said very clearly, everybody needs to let Walter Sofronoff get on with his job as Commissioner.
Speaking of action being taken now,
Yes.
it will involve significant resourcing in the
Yes.
CPP, in QPS, and perhaps in the forensic lab.
That's
definitely
very,
in the forensic
I
lab.
absolutely acknowledge that, yes.
What other plans being
Yes.
put in place?
Yes, so my Director General, Rachel Hunter, today is convening a meeting with the Police Commissioner, with the Head of the Justice Department, the Head of the Health Department, to work out those resourcing mechanisms that are needed to make sure that this section of the report, this interim report, is acted on swiftly and quickly.
And just a point of clarification, the employees who have been stood down, are they still on full pay?
You'll have to ask the Director General. My understanding is that they are stood down until the outcome of the inquiry.
Premier, what's,
So the usual process is they are. Okay, that's the usual process.
Premier, what's the government doing in the immediate future to ease the pressure on public hospitals?
Well, this is a national issue, so in relation to what particular
Rapid,
aspect?
for example.
Well, as you know, COVID numbers are coming right down. So the number of people with COVID at the moment in our hospitals, from memory yesterday, was about 130. It's come down from a high of over 1,000. The number of staff that are off work has also come down. So our hospitals should be getting back to their 100%, almost 100% capacity.
Would you still like to see a 50-50 funding split with the federal government?
This is a big issue. It's one that the premiers and the First Ministers are in agreement on, and there is a national cabinet that will be called later on this month, and I have no doubt that, and it's no secret to the Prime Minister either, that health funding will be on that agenda, yes.
Are you concerned criminal lawyers could use clause in NA to seek retrials for criminals already convicted?
Look, they're issues for the Justice Department, but, you know, one step at a time here. I think the most important part is when Walter Sofronoff hands down his final report to government in December, his findings and what further actions need to be taken.
Premier, do you think the land tax needs to be repealed?
Sorry?
Do you think the land tax needs to be repealed?
I think that you need to have an equal playing field, and this is about big investors in other states acquiring multiple properties, and government does need to get some revenue in to pay for our roads and our hospitals and our schools, and we made a very clear commitment to the people of Queensland that we would not tax households.
Premier, you're public holiday for the Queen tomorrow. What would your message
Yes.
be to Queenslanders about spending today?
Yeah, thank you. And I'll be, on behalf of Queensland, I will be attending the memorial service down in Canberra, along with Governor Jeanette Young. I think my message to Queenslanders would be to take a moment of time to reflect on the community service that our late Queen did for the Commonwealth, for our country, for her country, and just to take that minute of time for reflection, which I know that many people have done over the course of the week, especially with the funeral service.
Premier, but the land tax
Last
will only
one.
raise about $20 million. That's like a bullet and a pavement at best. Like, surely it's not a measure that raises enough money.
$20 million is a lot of money to Queenslanders out there. $20 million is cost of living relief for people. $20 million would pay for a lot more breakfasts for children from disadvantaged backgrounds going to school. So let's put it in context. $20 million is a lot of money for a lot of people. Okay? Thank you. Thank you. Okay, is that all right?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks. Money for resilient household and home raising grants has been issued and is actually, the money's in the account of flood victims. Do you know?
Well, I want to put it in context first. The horrific floods that have confronted much of the east coast of Australia are a result of climate change that is impacting our planet globally, and it's important to note that the MOU signed today between Queensland consortium partners and Korean consortium partners is around tackling climate change by decarbonising our energy system globally, and that's important to those flood victims. If we don't take steps like we've done with the Hanho H2 consortium today, those sorts of devastating natural disasters will continue. Notwithstanding that, Queenslanders have been impacted by the largest natural disaster requiring the most significant rebuild program since Cyclone Tracy. So the $741 million Resilient Homes Fund that we have developed in partnership with the Commonwealth is rolling out, and I've got some data that I'm happy to provide. 4,859 Queenslanders have registered their interest in this program. That includes 12% of them that are seeking voluntary buyback. So 519 homeowners have said, I'd like you to consider buying my home back. 1,363 Queenslanders have said, can you raise my home? A further 1,834 have sought retrofitting, and 690 Queenslanders are still unsure, and that's understandable. Their home is their castle, and what their future looks like, we really wanted to make sure was something that we didn't impose on them, that they could make those decisions themselves. We have been getting on with the job, though. We have been rolling up our sleeves out there in those communities, from Gympie right through to Logan, etc. Over 3,076 floor level surveys are underway. 1,190 of those have been completed. That's a significant volume of work in terms of assessing those homes. My own agency, Repealed, has completed 848 home assessments for affected homeowners. So they are primarily homeowners without insurance. 108 of those assessments are now back with those homeowners for them to make a decision around which builder that they're going to access those services from. And again, we've left that in the control of homeowners to choose a builder that they're comfortable with. I understand that 2 applications, including quotes, have been received for funding. One is for a house raising and the other is for a resilient rebuild, and so they've been given the approval. So a significant amount of work has been done to date, and 2 approvals. That will grow every single day, and we have said before that this is the most significant rebuild program since Cyclone Tracy. It will take a substantial amount of time. We have applied additional resources, so over the last few weeks we've doubled and redoubled the number of assessors that are out there doing this work. We have met some challenges along the way, working with the insurance industry and local governments, because this is a program first of its kind in this nation. I think we should also put it into context. Communities of northern New South Wales were flooded at approximately the same time. Not a single step has been taken in the processes in the other states. We acknowledge that we must work harder every single day to make sure that more people are protected from those natural disasters, and we are confident the program that's in place will deliver results for those flood-affected homes.
So the 2 approvals, are they from those hundreds that have had the assessments actually
Yes.
complete, because then they have to respond?
Yes.
Yeah.
So there's actually an 11-step process that you've got to work through, from the initial right through to the completion and certification of your repairs. 108 of those assessments are back with those homeowners now, and that's the opportunity for them to seek those quotes. Those quotes are submitted to the government for confirmation, and 2 of those have now been approved, and they can contract the builder. The government will make sure of the quality of those builds. We will be paying invoices directly back to the building contractors to make sure that the work is of a high quality. It's performed by appropriately licensed contractors. We want to make sure that those families that have been through incredible trauma aren't further traumatised by potentially a less than 100% quality re-establishment of their home. So there's a lot of layers to this, but we're applying maximum effort.
What do you say to people, though, who are worried about the length of time and any delays in the process, and particularly with the weather forecast that we have with La Nina, and just even sourcing tradies in time to get work done before the wet weather is likely to hit later this year in summer?
So our message to those flood-affected homeowners is that we are working around the clock every day to make sure that we can get through this assessment program as quickly as possible. We know it's been a terribly traumatic experience for those homeowners experiencing those floods. I'm confident, though, that we are able to continue to apply those resources. We are remaining in regular contact with those homeowners. I know that insurers, local governments and the building industry are doing everything that they possibly can to help. There have been some concerns raised about supply chains of building materials, and I'm pleased to say that in most cases the types of building materials required for this type of work remain readily available, and so that's a good piece of news. But we do know that every day we need to be out there on the ground supporting those households get back on their feet, and that's exactly what we're doing.
Minister, when is the Queensland Energy Plan going to come up? Do we have like a firm date?
I think the Premier has announced that it will be launched next week.
At the State of the State?
I heard her indicate on the radio this morning that she intended to make what she described as a big announcement about energy in Queensland, and has referred to the State of the State address next week. It's those sorts of initiatives and the leadership of the Premier that has facilitated the types of agreements that were signed here today. I think what the Han-Ho Hydrogen Consortium means for Queenslanders is more jobs in regional Queensland. Everywhere from Mackay to Townsville, there will be literally hundreds, potentially thousands of jobs. It means lower emissions here in Queensland, Australia, and in the rest of the world. They are significant leadership outcomes that have been achieved because of initiatives of this government, the Hydrogen Industry Development Strategy, the Industry Development Fund, our Queensland Renewable Energy and Hydrogen Jobs Fund, and we expect to see more and more interest in Queensland with the release of the Queensland Energy Plan.
Is there any possibility that our emissions reduction target will be more ambitious than that of the federal government?
The Premier will make significant announcements about the energy plan. When it is released, it will demonstrate our pathway to delivering on our commitments to cheaper, cleaner energy. And we know that clean energy is important to Queensland households. All Queensland households are telling us that they want to play a role in emissions reduction, but big business as well. The big employers of the world want to set up shop here in Queensland, and the thing that they're attracted to is a low emissions electricity system. And so we can expect that the energy plan will talk about how Queensland will deliver cheaper and cleaner energy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
They're turning the lights off.
I know.